We know regular review is powerful, so here are 10 interactive review games you can use to review any lesson. Let's go. Like I said, regular review is powerful. If you haven't seen it yet, check out this video about the benefits of reviewing lessons and what kind of content you should be reviewing with your students. Asking review questions is how you gauge what your students know. Review time can be as simple as asking a few questions about the lesson, and some review is better than no review. But if you want to see your students engaged, laughing, and trying their hardest, try using a review game. First, you'll need a list of review questions. As a reminder, there are different kinds of questions, like closed-ended questions, which can be answered with yes or no. A more complex type of closed-ended question is the multiple choice. The student must recognize the right answer, but they don't have to use their own words. If they need to answer using their own words and it can't be answered with yes or no, it is an open-ended question. A simpler form of open-ended questions is fill in the blank. Going deeper, we have understanding questions. These usually begin with why did, and then test the student's understanding of cause and effect or motive. And finally, we also have personal questions, which require students to examine their own lives. Once you have a list of thoughtful review questions, the fun begins. Here are 10 review games from simplest to more elaborate. Also, the first few games can work with 1 or 2 students, but the last few games works best with a small group of students. The first game is Scoreboard. The simplest way to spice up the review time is to split your students into 2 teams and award a point for every right answer. If you're working with only 1 student, you can still keep score and compare the number of right answers to the number of questions asked. Then, the student can try to beat their own personal record. The second is Zonk. You'll need a paper bag, papers with points valued 1 to 10, and papers with Zonk written on them. If a student gets the right answer, he can pull a paper out of the bag. If it's points, he can choose to stop there and keep what he has so far, or he can choose to keep going. If he chooses to keep going and pulls out more points, these get added to the points that he just pulled out. However, if he pulls out a Zonk, all the points he pulled out so far in his turn drop to 0. The points and the Zonk go back into the bag. Then it'll be the other team's turn. Keep playing until you run out of time, questions, or points. Tally up the points and applaud the winners. The third game is the Great Wall of Review. You'll need tape and the review questions either written or printed on paper. Pro tip: use painter's tape or masking tape to make cleanup easy and stress-free. Tape the paper to the wall backwards so the questions are hidden. Students can go up and choose a question to answer, and the element of mystery keeps things interesting. Each correctly answered question can be a point, but if the question is not answered correctly, it goes back up on the wall and is worth an extra point. The fourth game is Roll the Dice. In this game, you'll need a dice and a numbered list of 6 actions like spin around 3 times, do 3 jumping jacks, and most importantly, answer a review question. Students will take turns rolling the dice and doing the action of the number they rolled. Here's a pro tip: if you want more questions answered than jumping jacks jumped, have more numbers say answer review question to increase the odds. Remember, the goal of the review game is to review the content, not just play a game. The fifth game is Memory Match. For this game, you'll need index cards and a pen. Write 1 review question per card and write the correct answers on another card. These are a match. You can make 3 to 10 matches depending on how much time you have and the age of your students. Mix up matches and lay the cards face down in a grid. Students will take turns choosing 2 cards to flip over. If it's a match, the student gets to take the cards, which are their points. If the 2 cards they flipped are not a match, the cards get flipped back and it goes to the next person's turn. Whoever has the most points at the end is the winner. Our 6th game is Spot and Swat. You'll need 2 clean fly swatters and then answers that are written or printed on paper taped face up on the wall. Split your students into 2 teams and have them send up a representative. Each representative gets a fly swatter, and whenever you ask a review question, they will race to the spot, swat the correct answer. Whoever gets it first wins a point for their team. If you only have 1 student, they can still play the games we've covered so far. But going forward, the next few games are better with at least 2 or more players. The 7th game is Bop the Bell. There's actually a bell you can bop right now, the notification bell. If this is the kind of resource you're looking for, subscribe and get notified when there's new bite-sized training for children's ministry, because life is busy, but kids matter. Now, back to our video. In this game, you'll need a bell or buzzer in a central location. Each team will line up behind each other, and the heads of the line will face each other across the bell. When you ask a review question, the students up first will race to ring the bell if they know the answer. If the person who rang the bell first gets the answer wrong or stalls for too long, the question goes to the other person. Keep points for the right answers. After the round, those students rotate to the back of the line. If you do not have a bell or buzzer, you can use any grabbable object. Then the goal would just be to grab the object to answer the question first. In this game, students must wait in line for their turn, which might cause dead time and restlessness. If you want to involve more students all at once, a variation to this game is Steal the Bacon. In Steal the Bacon, line up the teams to stand shoulder to shoulder together, facing the other team. Go down the line and number off both people standing across from each other, starting with 1. Make sure they remember their number because they'll be racing against the other person with the same number. In the center, place something that represents the bacon. When you call out a number that has been assigned, those people from opposite teams will run to bring the bacon home across their team lines. Whichever team is successful gets to answer the review question. If they get it right, they get a point. If they get it wrong, the other team gets a chance to answer. Our 8th review game is tic-tac-toe. You'll need a whiteboard and a whiteboard marker to make a tic-tac-toe grid. There are 2 ways you could use this game for review. First, if a team gets a review question right, they get to send a representative to place their team's mark in the space on the grid. The goal is to get 3 in a row, vertically, horizontally, or diagonally. The second variation is to write review questions on sticky notes and to stick them in the spaces. If a team wants a particular space, they must answer that question correctly. If you want to make a game last longer, you could increase the size of the grid and number of marks you need to get in a row. Here's another pro tip. When sticking things to a whiteboard, don't use regular tape, which would ruin the finish on your board over time. Rather, use sticky notes, which are gentler. The 9th game is give or take. If you want to see your students on the edge of their seats laughing and groaning, this is a game for you. For this game, you'll need 2 paper bags, slips of paper with points ranging from 1 to 5, and slips of paper with give or take written on them. The points go in one bag, and the gives and takes go in the other bag. When a team answers a question correctly, they can send a representative to randomly pull out 1 point paper and 1 give or take. If they pull out a give, they must give those points to the other team. If they pull out a take, they can keep those points for their own team. The suspense of this game keeps students invested, and it's a good opportunity to teach them to say thank you if they are given points, since the giving and taking of points is so randomized. Our 10th and last game is hot potato. Taking an empty tissue box, write out slips of paper with review questions. Fold them and put them into the box. This is your potato. Have your students sit in a circle while you play some music. While the music is going, they will quickly pass the box to the person next to them as if it were hot to handle. When you randomly pause the music, whoever is holding the potato pulls out a review question and answers it. Play until the time runs out or when you're out of questions. If you don't have an empty tissue box, you could have your students pass around a stuffed animal instead. Whoever is left holding the toy when the music stops answers a question from your list. Some of these games can be used in different ways, like reviewing all the memory verses from a semester, but that will be covered in a later video. Now, what if your student got the answer wrong? Keep in mind that we want to foster a mindset of growth and resilience, not perfection. You want them to stay engaged and keep trying, not to shut down due to a wrong answer. So, thank your student for his participation and enthusiasm. If there is any part of his answer that was right, let him know. Then, give the correct answer, explain as needed, and then ask the review question again to see if he got it. This is the ask, teach, and ask method. Remember that the goal of review games is to review content. The games are fun and will engage your students' minds, emotions, and bodies. But most importantly, you are planting seeds of truth from God's Word that has the potential to yield a bountiful spiritual harvest. Until next time, God bless.